So everybody should have their grammar notebooks open to a new clean page. Today's lesson is completely review. We are not doing anything new today because this is our very last lesson in our unit on sentences. Next week we will start a new unit on nouns. So we're just going to review what we've learned. Everything that we have learned can be summed up in what we're going to do today, which the title of today's notes is Fixing Fragments and Run-Ons. Fixing fragments and run-ons. And then today's date, which is September 16th, 2020. And all of our notes today are just going to be review notes. You've already written all of these at some point in your notebook, but we're just going to do a review because these fixing fragments and run-ons will use everything you've learned in the past 5 weeks. So first, we're going to put a dot to the left of the pink line, right underneath the title. And we're going to say, what is a fragment? Who remembers what a fragment is from a long time ago? Well, 5 weeks ago. Who remembers what a fragment is? A sentence fragment. Aaron, what's a fragment or a sentence fragment?
A group of words that does not express a complete thought.
Good. So a fragment is a group of words that does not express, and I'm to the end of the line, but instead of lining it up right here and making you think I have another note, I'm going to put a little indentation, a little space between the pink line and where I'm starting my next line. So it's a group of words that does not express a complete thought. It's a group of words that does not express a complete thought. Now underneath, I'm going to put a little dash, not right under the dot, but I'm going to move over a little bit and put a dash underneath. I could also put a space between the end of a complete thought and our next dash. Let's see. Types of fragments. There are 2 types of fragments that we will talk about, that we will see today. There are 2 types of fragments that we will see today. Or I'm sorry, 3. 3 types. The first type is missing a subject. Missing a subject. For example, ate a hot dog. Make sure to capitalize that because we're showing this as a fragment. It's not a complete sentence. We've written it as a sentence, but it is not complete, so it is a fragment. Ate a hot dog. There is no subject. There is no who or what. There is a predicate, the action, ate a hot dog, but no subject. The second type is it's missing a predicate. For example, the silly dog. Well, we have a subject. We have the who or the what, the silly dog. But we have no predicate. We have no action. We don't know what the silly dog did or what it is. Now, to fix these two types of sentences, where should we put that in our notes? I'm trying to think of how we can put this in our notes. Nope, let's just leave it. The third type is a dependent clause by itself. Remember, a dependent clause starts with a connecting word. So if it's by itself, it is a fragment. For example, because the silly dog ate a hot dog. An example of a dependent clause by itself, that type of fragment, is because the silly dog ate a hot dog. Once you're done with that, put your pencil down, look up, because I have to erase the types of fragments. We've already talked about all the types of fragments that we will see today. And then we're going to talk about how to fix each one. So once you're done writing everything that's on the board, put your pencil down. And then we will talk about how to fix each of these. So these are all incomplete thoughts. So they're fragments. Number 1 is an incomplete thought because we don't know who ate the hot dog. Number 2 is an incomplete thought. Hot dog. Number 2 is an incomplete thought because we don't know what the silly dog did or what it is. Number 3 is an incomplete thought because we do have a who, the silly dog, and a what happened, ate a hot dog, but this word because makes it an incomplete thought. We don't know why the word the word because is there. So it's not a complete thought. Now, is it okay for me to erase the types of fragments? Carla, is it okay? I'm going to erase slow. And when I line up, when I put how to fix them, I'm going to put it underneath. I'm going to line it up with this dash for types of fragments, okay? Carla, do you have the last bit yet? Carla, can you hear me?
I'm on the example.
Okay, I'm going to erase, and then I'm going to start the next one. So now I'm going to line up my next piece of information, how to fix fragments, with the types of fragments. So I'm going to put another little dash that lines up with the dash from types of fragments, and I'm going to start my new thought. How, and I might put a line between the types of fragments and how to fix them, a space. How to fix fragments. And I'm going to number them again, and you're going to know that they match up with the numbers of types, because I'm not going to write number 1 missing a subject. But you know number 1 for how to fix fragments means how to fix number 1 in types of fragments. Do you understand that? Okay, number 1. So the first type of fragment was missing a subject. So to fix fragment type number 1, we add a subject. For example, Carla, is it okay if I erase this example? Did you finish the example for the dependent clause? Okay. Just so it's not confusing anybody. So to fix fragment type number 1, add a subject. For example, I have this on my mind earlier because Victoria said Zadie likes hot dogs. So Zadie ate, did I say a hot dog or the hot dog?
Ate.
Zadie ate a hot dog. So to fix a fragment that is missing a subject, just add a subject. Add a who or a what. So we had the fragment, ate a hot dog. To turn it into a complete sentence, we just added the subject, Zadie. Now for fragment type number 2, which was missing a predicate. Well, to fix it, add a predicate. Add the action. For example, we have the subject, the silly dog, so we're just going to add an action. Chased his tail. We added the predicate, which was the action. We were given the fragment that only had a subject but no predicate, so we just added the predicate. The silly dog, well, what did he do? Well, the silly dog chased his tail. Okay, when you're done writing that I'm going to erase because I need more space for number 3, because there's 2 ways we can fix a dependent clause by itself. So when you're done, put your pencil down so that I know that you're ready for how to fix number 3 dependent clauses by themselves. So if you need to go to the next page, go right ahead.
Miss Phyllis?
Yes.
I only had one more line on this one. Is it okay?
Yes, definitely. You don't have to use the last lines of your paper. I don't typically like to use the last line unless I only have like 1 or 2 words. But if I know that I have more than 1 or 2 words, like if I know that I can finish everything on the last line and I don't have to use another sheet of paper, okay, then I'll use it. Because I don't want to put like 4 words on a second sheet of paper when I do have enough space. But if I know that I'm going to have to take up more than just that one last line, I'll go to another sheet of paper. Okay. Carla, are you good? Okay, I'll wait for just a second. Okay, so the third type of fragment, a dependent clause by itself. There are 2 ways to fix that fragment. The first one is remove the connecting word. That's one way to fix set fragment type number 3, which is a dependent clause by itself. So instead of being because the silly dog ate the hot dog, which the word because makes it an incomplete thought, we can just take out the word because and make the sentence, the silly dog ate a hot dog. So that's one way. One way to fix a dependent clause by itself is just to say, to remove the connecting word, and instead of saying because the silly dog ate a hot dog, we can just say the silly dog ate a hot dog. Now that's going to be really important for you guys to know. Everybody pause for just a second because I want you to listen. When you are answering critical thinking questions that ask you why, if you write because the book said blah, 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 well then you have written a fragment. All you have to do to fix that is just not say the word because. So if a science book says, why are fungi not considered plants? And you answer, everybody should be paused and listening, so everybody's pencil should be down, because this is the way, the removing the connecting word, is the way that most of you are going to use, because I see a lot of you answering science questions like, and you're probably going to do it with social studies, where the question is, why are fungi not considered plants? And you will say, because they can't make their own food. Well, what have you just written? Aaron? A fragment. Because can a sentence start with because and not have an independent clause with it? No. So the easiest way to fix that would just be take out the word because. And so the question says, why are fungi not considered plants? Instead of saying because they don't make their own food, you would just say they don't make their own food. Is that a complete sentence? Yes. It has a subject, it has a predicate, it doesn't have a connecting word at the beginning. So when you answer questions, make sure you're not answering them as fragments by starting with a connecting word and not including an independent clause. So this is the easiest way to fix a fragment that is a dependent clause. Go ahead and keep writing. The easiest way to fix a fragment, type number 3, dependent clause by itself, is to just take out the connecting word. If it's not 100% necessary, then just don't do it. If you're answering a question in another class and you don't have to make a complex sentence, just make a simple sentence. This is a simple sentence. Now, another way to fix fragment type number 3, a dependent clause all by itself. Yes? Nope, because are there 4 types of fragments that we talked about? No. And remember, I said the numbers match to the types of fragments. So this is still how to fix that 3rd fragment type. I would probably go to the next page, Cullen, because then you won't be able to fit the example and what it is. So number 3, another way to fix fragment type number 3 is add an independent clause to complete the thought. So to fix fragments that are dependent clauses by themselves, we can either remove the connecting word, take out that word because, or whatever other connecting word you're using, or we can add an independent clause to complete the thought. We can keep that connecting word and just add an independent clause before. For example, because I don't want you guys to worry this year about putting dependent clauses first. So what I'm telling you right now is it is possible to start a sentence with a connecting word, like because or since or whatever, but I don't want you to do it because you guys are not quite ready yet. You can eventually, but this year I don't want you to start with a dependent clause. So should any of your sentences ever start with because or since or although or therefore or any of that? No. No. You can put it in the middle of a sentence. That is fine with me, but I don't want you to start because you're not quite there yet. And what do you always have to have after the dependent clause if it comes first? Cullen?
A comma.
A comma. And that's hard to remember because you don't have to use it both times. It's easy to remember the comma with compound sentences because no matter what, it has to be there. So don't start a sentence with a dependent clause. Never, ever, ever in the 4th grade start a sentence with a connecting word like because or since or after or whatever. Yes, Victoria, quickly.
But you can do it at home, just not when
not on things that you're going to turn in. But even don't do it at home because then you might do it wrong without even realizing it and then just learn the wrong way. Okay, so for example, an example of fixing a dependent clause by itself by adding an independent clause to complete the thought is we all laughed. So there's the independent clause I added. We all laughed can stand alone. It has a subject, we all. It has a predicate, laughed. But we're using this to fix the dependent clause by itself. So we're going to say we all laughed because the silly dog ate a hot dog. So we fixed that fragment because the silly dog ate a hot dog by adding an independent clause to complete the thought. We added the independent clause, we all laughed. So now we have the complete complex sentence. We all laughed because the silly dog ate a hot dog. Because remember, a complex sentence has an independent clause and a dependent clause. We all laughed is the independent clause. It can stand alone. It's independent. Because the silly dog ate a hot dog is the dependent clause. It cannot stand by itself. It needs something else to make sense. So does everybody understand the 3 ways to fix fragments? To fix these 3 types, well, not 3 ways, but these ways to fix these 3 types of fragments. Sorry, please. I don't know what you're doing, but does everybody understand how to fix fragments? These 3 ways. Okay, well now, the other types of incorrect sentences are run-ons. We are going to write what run-on sentences are, even though we just did this. What is a run-on sentence? What is a run-on sentence? This you do not have to go so far back because it was Monday, 2 days ago. Carla, what is a run-on sentence?
A run-on sentence is a sentence with 2 or more sentences incorrect.
Not 2 or more sentences. What does it say? 2 or more. A sentence with 2 or more.
2 or more.
Zari, can you help her out? So it's a run-on sentence is a sentence with 2 or more what?
A run-on sentence with 2 or more independent clauses that are combined incorrectly.
Good. So a run-on sentence is a sentence with 2 or more independent clauses combined incorrectly. Now we are not going to list every single type of run-on sentence because we just did that on Monday. The reason that we rewrote those fragments is because this time we added how to fix them, we named the type of fragments, and those notes were from 5 weeks ago, so we needed a little bit of a review. But run-ons we just did on Monday. It's easy to find the notes. They're the notes right before these. So we're not going to rewrite everything. We are going to go ahead and rewrite the definition, 2 or more independent clauses combined incorrectly, and let's name. Just read it from your notebook. Tell me one type of run-on sentence. Please do this in order. So if you're the first one I call, please tell me the first type. If you're the second one I call, please tell me the second type. Zari, tell me the first type of run-on sentence. Everybody hands down and listen to what Zari has to say. What is the first type?
2 or more independent clauses joined with a comma or conjunction.
Joined with a comma or conjunction. That sounds correct to me. What should it be?
Two or more independent clauses joined without a comma or a conjunction.
Good.
Or conjunction.
Remember, make sure you read the words correctly, because accidentally reading one word incorrectly can completely change the meaning of the sentence. Please wait and think about it before you raise your hand, because when you're raising your hand, you're thinking about what you want to say, not what I'm saying or what one of your classmates is saying. So yes, the first type of run-on sentence is two or more independent clauses joined without a comma or a conjunction, like this example sentence. Sam hit the ball, it went over the fence. That is a run-on sentence. What is the second type of run-on sentence that we talked about? Aaron.
Two or more independent clauses joined with a comma but no conjunction.
Good. So the second type is two or more independent clauses joined with a comma, so you've got that little pause, but no conjunction. Like this. Sam hit the ball, it went over the fence. We paused a little bit, but not long enough for it to be two separate sentences, like with the period. And there's no conjunction, no and. What's the third type of run-on sentence? Kingston, loud.
Too many independent clauses combined into one sentence, even if commas and conjunctions are correct.
Good. So the third type is too many independent clauses joined in one sentence, even if commas and coordinating conjunctions are correct. For example, Sam hit the ball over the fence, and it went over, and it broke a window, and it hit the neighbor's son. That's too many. Now, I think we talked about a fourth kind. Did we talk about the fourth? What's the fourth kind of run-on sentence? Cullen.
Two or more unrelated independent clauses combined in one sentence.
And what is that example? Because I don't have it in my book. I made it up off the top of my head, and I don't remember what it was.
Sam hit the ball over the fence, and I ate a hot dog.
I have hot dogs on the brain. I don't know why. I don't even really. Hot dogs are fine, but they're not my favorite. I just have hot dogs on the brain. So, yes, correct. The fourth type is two or more independent clauses that are not related. Even if they're punctuated and have the right connecting words, if they're not related, it's a run-on sentence, such as, Sam hit the ball over the fence, and I ate a hot dog. They have nothing to do with each other. They should not be one sentence. Very good. So fixing those. How do we fix them? Well, we either separate them into two sentences, like Sam hit the ball, period. Capital I-T, it went over the fence, period. Or we add a comma and a coordinating conjunction. Sam hit the ball, comma, and it went over the fence. Or we make it a complex sentence, which I can't remember what my example was. What was my example? I don't have it written. I need to write these things down. What was my example for turning that run-on sentence into a complex sentence? Remember, compound has a comma and a conjunction such as and, but, or. Complex is that independent clause mixed with the dependent clause. The dependent clause starts with a connecting word that is not and, but, or. Smith, what was my example?
The ball went over the fence after Sam hit it.
Good. The ball went over the fence after Sam hit it. The ball went over the fence is the independent clause. After Sam hit it is the dependent clause. Correct. Now.
There's another one. We have another one.
It was just the same thing, just with the dependent clause coming first. But we're just not going to worry about that. We're just not going to do that the rest of fourth grade. So. Another way. No, we don't need to do that. We don't need to write that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fix fragments and we're going to fix run-on sentences, because that will use every single thing that we have learned this unit. It will use subjects and predicates, which was the first thing we used, because fragments, you have to add a subject or you have to add a predicate. It will use types of sentences, because you have to figure out what kind of end punctuation am I going to put on here. It will use compound sentences, because some run-ons you're going to turn into compound sentences. It will use complex sentences because some run-on sentences you will turn into complex. It's mine till Friday. Okay, so go ahead and get out your guided practice. So everybody needs to fix a mistake really quick. So you've got out your flare, and then put your finger on number 1. You're going to fix this for me. Because I didn't realize until I'd already made the copies and it was too late to redo it. Where it says make, just use your flare so that instead of make, it says made. So all you have to do is put a D over that K. Put a D over that K so that it says made. And make sure that you write it so that you understand that this is supposed to say made a birthday cake, not make a birthday cake. When you're done, put your flare away. Once you have finished and you have made make into the word made, put your flare away. Yes, Kingston, quickly. What? I can't hear you. What?
Miss Phyllis.
Okay, well then just cross out the word make and write above it, write made. Make sure you have capital M. Yes, sorry, quickly.
Can you tell me what I'm supposed to change?
Change the word make in number 1 to the word made. Because technically make a birthday cake is not a fragment. Why? We don't see the subject. But when we see a command without a subject, then we know what is the subject, the understood subject. We understand that the subject is who. If I say make a birthday cake, who or what is the subject? It's not written. We learned this and we talked about it. If I say to Cullen, make a birthday cake, who am I telling to make a birthday cake? So that means what is the understood subject when you have a command with no written subject? Carla?
A fragment.
No, you're not listening to the question. I said, if we have a command and we don't see the subject written, like make a birthday cake, who do we know the subject is? It's that understood subject. We talked about it. It's not me. We can't say me make a birthday cake. That doesn't make sense. Zari?
I.
Not I. It's a command. Who am I telling to make a birthday cake? Make a birthday cake. Who am I telling? Don't tell me Cullen. Because she's not the subject of every single command that has no subject. Aaron? You. Correct. Commands do not necessarily need a subject written if you are talking to that person and telling that person in front of you. Because we understand that the subject is you. So make a birthday cake is a complete sentence. Because even though the word you is not there, we can understand that it's you. Now the M is supposed to be capitalized though, because we're showing that it's an incomplete sentence. So this is another thing you guys have to learn. When you are copying something, you need to copy it exactly as it appears. All I said was to change the D to a K. So that meant if you rewrote the whole word, the M still had to be capitalized. When you copy things from your book, from the board, whatever, if it is capitalized in the book, on the board, on the piece of paper, whatever, you also capitalize it. If there is a comma, you also write the comma. When you are copying, you write it exactly as it appears there. Some of you do this and you don't put the capitalized, you don't put the capitals, you don't put the end punctuation. Well, that's not a choice. If it's written there and you're copying it, you copy it exactly as it appears. Capitals, punctuation, and all. So now, let's look at the directions for numbers 1 through 4. Read the bullet point that tells us important information about this page. Zari. What does this bullet point tell us? This is important information for numbers 1 through 4.
A sentence fragment is only part of the complete sentence. It is missing either a subject or a predicate.
Good. So a sentence fragment is only part of a complete sentence. So it is incomplete. It is missing either a subject or a predicate. Now, the directions say read the sentence fragments below. Add a subject or a predicate to make a complete sentence. Write the new sentence on the line. So for numbers 1 through 4, we won't have the dependent clauses by themselves. You're either going to have a subject or you're going to have a predicate, and whoever I choose, they have to add what's missing. So number 1, made a birthday cake. Smith, what part of a sentence do we have?
The independent clause.
An independent clause can stand alone as a sentence, Smith. Does made a birthday cake make sense by itself?
No.
And please read, a sentence fragment is missing either a subject or a predicate. Those are the parts of the sentence. So for number 1, made a birthday cake, what part of the sentence do we have?
The dependent clause.
Smith, a dependent clause starts with a connecting word. Do we see any connecting words there?
No.
So is it a dependent clause?
No.
Please listen to the question. The bullet point said that a sentence fragment is missing either a subject or a predicate. Those are the parts of a sentence. Number 1, made a birthday cake. Which part of a sentence do we have? The subject or the predicate?
We have the predicate.
We have the predicate. So that means the subject is missing. How do we fix a fragment that is missing a subject? What do we do?
Add a subject.
We add a subject. So Smith, please tell us what this sentence should say. What you think it should say, because we'd all probably pick a different subject. But Smith, you get to choose since you were picked. Kingston, why is that out? It needs to be put away. Only your pencil should be out.
I made a birthday cake.
And then we copy the rest of it, but do we keep the M capitalized, Smith?
No.
No. We make the M in made lowercase, but the rest of it stays the same. I made a birthday cake, period. Do not forget end punctuation. You're losing half a point every time you forget. That adds up fast. If you have 6 questions and you forget the end punctuation each time, that's half each time, which means you lost 3 points just because you didn't put a period. So I made a birthday cake. I need to tell you guys this because I see this happening constantly. I is always capitalized. Always, no matter where it is in the sentence. If it's at the beginning, if it's at the end, if it's in the middle. If you have I, as in I, it is always capitalized. You guys are not doing that. That is something you learn in 1st grade, and you should be doing that by now. Okay, thank you, Smith. Number 2, a green turtle. Which part of the sentence do we have, Victoria? What part of the sentence do we have?
Subject.
We have the subject, which means we are missing what?
Predicate.
The predicate. So this fragment is the type that's missing a predicate. How do we fix fragments that are missing a predicate? We add a predicate. So what predicate would you like to add?
A green turtle walked on the seashore.
What?
A green turtle walked on the seashore.
Good. We have our subject. A green turtle. We keep that A capitalized, but we don't put the period. A green turtle walked on the seashore. Seashore is a compound word. Period. So good. We had the who, a green turtle. Victoria added the what? Walked on the seashore to make it a complete sentence. Good. Number 3, the creative author. Colin, which part of the sentence do we have?
A subject.
The subject. We have the who. So we're missing what?
The predicate.
How do we miss fragments that are missing the predicate?
Add a predicate.
Add a predicate. So what would you like to say the creative author is doing?
Made a funny
Well, tell me the whole sentence.
The creative author made a funny book.
Well, do they make a funny book? What do authors do? They don't make books, they
Write book.
write books. So tell me the sentence again.
The creative author wrote a funny book.
The creative author, do we keep that T capitalized or do we make it lowercase?
Keep it capitalized.
Keep it capitalized because it's still starting the sentence. The creative author, do we keep that period or do we get rid of it?
Get rid of it.
Get rid of it. The creative author wrote a funny book. And then what do we put at the end?
Period.
Period. Good. Victoria and Cullen, I like how you made really interesting predicates. You didn't just say a green turtle walked or the creative author wrote. You added interesting things to it. Now, when you're adding a subject, you may not necessarily be able to do that, although you could add some adjectives, some describing words to say what the subject is. Okay, number 4, swam in the lake. Kingston, what part of the sentence do we have in number 4? Swam in the lake. We have the predicate. We have the action. What's missing?
The subject.
How do we miss a fragment that is missing the subject? We add a subject. So go ahead. How would you fix this sentence, Kingston?
Megalodon swam in the lake. I was going to say that Megalodon swam in the lake.
Okay, sure. Kingston said the mega, I don't know if I'm spelling this right, but I think Megalodon.
I think it's an A. I don't know.
I think it's an O, but I think it's an O, but I'm not sure. The megalodon, which is a giant ancient shark, the megalodon swam in the lake, period. I forgot to ask, do we keep this S capitalized, Kingston? No, because it's not at the beginning of the sentence anymore. Do we keep the period there? We don't keep the period after lake? Well, okay, I heard the, so. But either way, does it really matter? No. We're just being a little more specific. The megalodon instead of any old, a megalodon. Very good. So for some of when you get to your independent practice, you're going to have a whole page where you're doing this. You're adding a subject or you're adding a predicate. When you are copying the parts that they give you, make sure you copy them exactly as they appear. Unless you're adding a subject, then you will lowercase the first letter of the predicate. Or if you are adding a predicate, you will move the period to the end of the predicate. So make sure you're copying all the words exactly as they are, but watch out for capitalization and end punctuation. Put them in the right spots. So does everybody understand fixing fragments? That's what you're going to do on the first page of your independent practice. Now, helper number 2. Okay, so first, read the first bullet point. Zari.
A run-on sentence has 2 or more independent clauses that are combined incorrectly.
Good. Carla, read the second independent clause. I'm sorry, read the second bullet point.
They can be fixed by creating a compound or complex sentence.
Good. So when we fix run-on sentences today, Carla, please don't forget to mute yourself, Carla. Carla, focus. Okay. So today, when we fix run-on sentences, you're not turning them into 2 separate sentences. You're only making them compound or complex, so you cannot choose to turn it into 2 sentences. So, the directions say read the run-on sentences below. Add a comma and a coordinating conjunction, and, but, or. Those are coordinating conjunctions. If I say coordinating conjunctions, I mean and, but, or. To create a compound sentence, so if you're creating a compound sentence, remember you add a comma between the clauses and the words and, but, or. Make sure that you're choosing the correct one because they do mean different things. Or you can add a conjunction like because, since, as soon as, etc. to create a complex sentence. Remember, you're not going to put the connecting word, the conjunction like because, since, or as soon as, the one that is not and, but, or first. So are you going to need a comma if you make a complex sentence? No, because you're going to put the independent clause first every time. So number 5, the game went into extra innings. We went to the snack shop. It's me. Aaron, how could we fix that? Do you want to fix it as a compound sentence or a complex sentence? Complex. How would we fix it? Would we be, there's some sentences that we may not be able to. Do you think we'd be able to turn this into a complex sentence? Can you easily think of a word that can help you, that can make this into a complex sentence?
No.
We could, but we'd have to put it first, which we're not going to do. So maybe we should do a compound sentence instead. We could make this into a complex sentence, but we'd have to put the dependent clause first, and I don't want to do that this year. Because we could say, when the game went into extra innings, comma. So when the game went into extra innings would be the dependent clause. We went to the snack shop. But we're not going to do that this year. So, Aaron, how could I fix this so that it's a compound sentence? Do not, Aaron, look at me. Do not forget to tell me where a comma goes. Okay? So how would we fix this so it's a compound sentence? Which means it uses and, but, or, and a comma. Focus. Well, first, what are the two clauses? What's the first clause in this sentence?
The game went into extra innings.
The game went into extra innings. We went to the snack shop. Those are the two. So which conjunction would work better? And, because they're two kind of related things. But, does one make the other not work? Or? Are they two options? Focus. You should be looking at your paper and you should be thinking about what the answer is. So you need to scoot in because a lot of you are just like playing in your lap. So which conjunction should we use? Which coordinating conjunction? And, but, or?
But.
Does one make the other not work? Because you went to the snack shop, does that mean the game didn't go, or the game didn't do something? Listen to this sentence. The game went into extra innings, but we went to the snack shop. Does that sound right?
No.
Does it really, or are you just saying that because you think that's what I want you to say? No. So does but work? When we use but, it means one makes the other not work. Both of these can work at the same time. Or, are they two options?
No.
So can we use or?
No.
No. So what's the only one left?
And.
So tell me the sentence. Do not forget to tell me, comma, wherever a comma goes if we need one. So what should this sentence look like as a compound sentence?
The game went into extra innings, comma, and we went to the snack shop.
Good. The game went into extra innings, comma, and we went to the snack shop. I should have written bar because that would make sense. Because sometimes if a game goes into extra innings, well, you were planning to eat after, but now you're there longer, so you go to the snack bar to get food. Good, Aaron. Good, Aaron. Number 6, we ran home, it got dark. Cullen, what's the first clause in this sentence?
We ran home.
We ran home, and what is the second clause?
It got dark.
Now, how could we combine those? Could we combine them as a complex sentence or a compound sentence or either one?
Compound.
We could do it as a could we do it as a compound sentence?
No.
Not really. We ran home and it got dark. Well, you're probably running home due to this. One doesn't make the other one not work, and they're not options. So how should we fix this run-on sentence?
We ran home since it got dark.
Okay. So what kind of sentence is that?
A complex.
Complex. Because we have the independent clause, we ran home, followed by the dependent clause, since it got dark. Now, do we need a comma in that sentence, Cullen?
No,
Why?
because it is a complex sentence.
Well, complex sentences sometimes need commas. Why does this one not need a comma? Victoria? Go. You should have asked. You know that time when we were sitting here after recess? That's when you should have gone because you're going to miss this. Who can help Colin? Why do we not need a comma in this complex sentence? Smith?
Because the dependent clause is second.
Because the dependent clause is second. When the independent clause comes first, we don't need a comma. Okay, number 7. My mom went to the grocery store. She bought ice cream. Victoria's not in here. Zari, how could we fix this sentence? Well, first, what's the first clause in this sentence?
My mom went to the grocery store.
Good. My mom went to the grocery store. What's the second clause? Zari?
She bought ice cream.
She bought ice cream. Now, how could we combine these as a compound or a complex sentence? Do not forget, if you tell me, make sure you tell me where a comma goes. So you get to choose. How do you want to combine this?
My mom went to the grocery store and she bought ice cream.
You just gave me a run-on sentence. It's missing something that makes it a run-on sentence. What is Zari's sentence? My mom went to the grocery store and she bought ice cream missing that makes it a run-on sentence. Aaron? A comma. Remember, Zari, I said make sure to tell me where the comma goes. So try again and tell me where the comma goes. Otherwise, it's a run-on sentence.
My mom.
Just try. We can hear you. We can hear you. So just tell us. We can hear you.
My mom went to the grocery store, comma, and she bought ice cream.
Good. Correct. Don't forget to tell me where those commas go. My mom went to the grocery store, comma, and she bought ice cream. We could have turned that into a complex sentence by saying my mom went to the grocery store where she bought ice cream. Because where is a connecting word that can be used to start a dependent clause. Because where she bought ice cream, is that a complete thought? No. We have a subject, she, and we have a predicate, bought ice cream, but that word where makes it an incomplete thought, so that is a dependent clause. Number 8, the squirrel ran through the forest. He was looking for acorns. Smith, what is the first clause? What is the first clause in this sentence?
The squirrel ran through the forest.
Good. And the second clause?
He was looking for acorns.
Good. Now, how could we fix that? We have 2 compound sentences and 1 complex. I would like you to write it so that it is a complex sentence. Don't forget. Don't forget to tell me exactly where punctuation, like commas and periods, go. So, Smith, how could we fix that so that it is a complex sentence?
We can use the word because.
Okay, so how would that sentence look? Don't forget to tell me exactly where punctuation goes, whether it's commas or periods or whatever.
The squirrel ran through the forest because he was looking for acorns.
Good.
Period.
Very good. The squirrel ran through the forest. Smith did not say comma because the independent clause comes first, so we don't need a comma. Because he was looking for acorns. Okay. Very good. So this is what you're going to be doing on the second page of your independent practice. You will be you will be fixing run-on sentences so that they are either a compound sentence or a complex sentence. You can't just do all compound sentences or all complex. You do have to do both. Okay, that's all the time we have for